At 2:07 a.m., the diner jolted out of its quiet as a sharp, deliberate tap hit the metal back door. Maddie froze mid-flip over the grill, grease popping beside her. Troy stopped stacking dishes, his hum tune dying in his throat. The diner was nearly empty, neon reflections shivering across chrome counters, and something outside was trying to get in. Another tap. Tap quicker now. Not random, not wind. A pattern. A plea. That's earlier than last night, Maddie whispered, edging toward the door. The third knock struck, urgent, trembling, as if whoever was out there was running out of time. Maddie pulled the door open. Cold air spilled into the diner, carrying the smell of rain and alley shadows that stretched too long across the concrete. Nothing stood in the doorway. But something was out there. Something watching. Something is in trouble. And it knew exactly where to knock for help. The knocking had begun 3 nights ago. Soft and measured. Always at 2:07 a.m., as if following some private schedule. At first, Maddie blamed the wind. Or the dumpsters. Or the tricks a tired mind plays during long shifts. But last night the knocks had sharpened. Grown restless. Almost afraid. And tonight, the diner itself felt like it was holding its breath. Hank, the owner, barged in through the front, shrugging off his jacket. "I'm done with midnight mysteries," he grumbled. "Install the camera." They mounted it above the back door before the next shift, Troy tightening screws while Maddie angled the lens toward the alley. By the time the clock neared 2:07 a.m., the three of them sat in front of the small monitor Hank had set up beside the prep table. "Here we go," Troy whispered. The seconds blinked forward. 2:06, 2:07. Troy pressed play. The screen flickered. A small, scruffy raccoon stood on its hind legs beside the metal door. He lifted one paw and tapped. Gentle, precise, purposeful. Not scavenging. Not digging. Not panicking. Just knocking. He flinched at something in the dark behind him, glancing over his shoulder with a tremor of fear, like something out there kept pulling him back into danger. "He's not here for food," Maddie whispered. The next night, Maddie stood at the door before the clock hit. The diner felt weird, waiting. Neon flashed outside as Troy gripped his flashlight behind her. 2:06, 2:07. Nothing. Troy let out a shaky breath. Maybe he moved on. Or something happened to him, Maddie murmured. The absence felt more terrifying than the knocking. The faint, ragged from deeper in the alley. Scrape. A dragging sound. A soft churring. A sound that didn't belong to the night. "Something's wrong," Maddie said. She shoved the door open and stepped into the cold. Their breath curled white into the dim alley. A shadow shifted near the dumpsters. The raccoon emerged, slow and trembling. He didn't knock this time. He sat on a milk crate, fur-matted, sides heaving as if he'd run until hope ran out. His eyes met Maddie's, wide with a desperation she felt in her bones. He stepped down, turned toward the darkest stretch of the alley, then looked back at her. A gesture clear as language. "Show us," Maddie whispered. He trotted ahead, pausing every few feet to make sure they followed. No aggression. Only urgency sharpened by fear. Behind the dumpsters, he led them to a collapsed pallet leaning crookedly against the wall. From beneath it came a faint, pain churring, thin enough to break something inside Maddie's chest. She dropped to her knees. Under the pallet lay a tiny raccoon, ribs sharp under his fur, one leg strangled by a snarl of fallen electrical wiring. Every struggle cinched the wires tighter. His breath came fast, terrified. "Oh no," Maddie whispered. "He's just a baby." Beside her, the father raccoon paced in frantic circles, whining low under his breath, torn between instinct and helplessness. "Troy, lift this," Maddie said, planting her palms on the pallet. Troy wedged his shoulder beneath it. On three. They heaved. The pallet scraped across the concrete with a scream of metal and splintered wood. The kid squealed in terror. "It's okay, Maddie," murmured, voice steady even as her heart pounded. "We're here." Troy fumbled in his apron, pulling out a pair of kitchen shears. "This is all I've got." "It'll do." Maddie held the kit still while Troy cut the wires. One, then another, then another. Sparks snapped at his fingers. The father raccoon leaned closer, whining louder now, trembling. Finally, the last wire loosened. The kit slid free, limp, weak but alive. Maddie lifted him against her chest, feeling the tiny, frantic flutter of his heartbeat. The father raccoon stepped forward, trembling, trusting. The diner door swung open as Maddie rushed inside, the kit cradled in her arms. Warmth washed over them. Hank, who had been half asleep at the counter minutes earlier, snapped upright. "What happened?" he demanded. "Wire trap," Maddie said. "He's dehydrated, injured, freezing." Hank didn't hesitate. "Prep table. Move the bins." They laid the tiny raccoon on warm towels. Troy fetched more from the dryer, hands still shaking. Maddie dabbed the kit's face with a soft cloth, whispering reassurance as his breathing slowly steadied. A sound made her look up. A soft scrape at the window. The father raccoon sat outside, framed by alley light, eyes locked on the kit. Not rummaging. Not running. Just watching. Frozen with fear and devotion. Maddie knelt by the glass. "He's okay," she whispered. "We've got him." The raccoon lifted one paw and pressed it to the window. Maddie lifted her hand to meet it. Glass between them, warmth through the gesture. Even Troy went silent. A wildlife rehab specialist arrived quickly, a woman with a clipped voice and steady hands. She cleaned the wounds, checked the leg, and hydrated the kit with practiced care. The father raccoon watched from the dumpster, crouched low, trembling with fear and hope. "He's lucky," the specialist murmured. "No fractures. Mostly shock and bruising." She wrapped the kit gently in a clean towel. "He needs warmth, and his family. He'll heal faster with them." Maddie exhaled. "So he can go home?" The specialist nodded. "If the parent is still nearby, and he is." A few hours later, they carried the kid outside. The father raccoon scrambled down the side of the dumpster, hesitating only once before inching closer. Maddie knelt and lowered the towel bundle to the ground. The kit let out a weak chirr. The father answered with a soft, broken whine. He pressed his nose to the kit's forehead, checked every limb, then curled protectively around him. After a moment, he nudged the kit upright and guided him toward the darker end of the alley, slow, careful, matching every small, unsteady step. Maddie felt her throat tighten. "He didn't knock for food," she whispered. Troy swallowed. "He knocked because he had no one else." The alley fell quiet except for the soft patter of rain as father and kit disappeared into the shadows. Nights passed without tapping. No pacing shadows. No desperate knocks. Just silence. "Maybe he's moved on," Troy said one night, rinsing dishes while the diner hummed its usual late-night tune. Maddie tried to believe that. Maybe he finally feels safe. But a bittersweet ache lingered each time she opened the back door and found only empty pavement. Then one night, carrying a bag of trash out into the alley, she froze. The father raccoon sat perched on the old milk crate, fur cleaner now, posture steadier, eyes bright with recognition. Not knocking, just watching her. "You're okay," Maddie whispered. "Your baby's okay." He blinked once. Slow, meaningful. The raccoon's version of thank you. Then he hopped down, paused at the corner as if giving her one last moment, and slipped quietly into the night. A faint memory brushed the metal door, a ghost of those first desperate taps. Maddie closed her eyes and let the stillness settle.